Hello friends, I have a World Beer Cup gold medal winner. Arlington Brewing Company's Trafford Ale. They say it's a pub ale, which I think that's what a lot of American brewers do with English bitters, because in America, if you say bitter, people are thinking it's going to be a really bitter beer. It's going to be like a ridiculous IPA, but this is not. An English bitter is basically just like a lower alcohol pale ale. You might see an ESB, that's extra special bitter. Those are actually more common. They're strong, a little bit stronger. This one's only 3.8%, so that's what a regular, ordinary, or session bitter is in England. And Arlington Brewing Company, yeah, I like to check out some of these big beer competitions every once in a while, and usually there's no New England brewers who win it. A lot of times the New England brewers don't go to these things, especially the ones that are already doing really well, that are hip hop brewers. But Arlington is very small. They don't even really have their own brewery yet. They have a brick and mortar place that they're currently working on opening in Arlington, Massachusetts, which is very close to here where I live. But this is actually brewed in Newburyport, Massachusetts, not too far away, by Riverwalk Brewing, who's made good beers, but it seems like they kind of gave up on the Boston market. I haven't seen them around much. And here's my proper British ale glass. There you go. And this is also a fresh batch, about a month old. The glass is not super clean, but the head's not super rich. Maybe in part of due to the glass, but it looks pretty good. There we are. So you might notice it's got some amber color to it. So like British bitters can be pale to amber, just like how American pale ales used to be a lot darker. Like this actually is almost as pale as Sierra Nevada. And the head doesn't look super good, but I feel like in the judging, they're probably getting small pours and they're not really seeing the head that much. Might as well just get it all in there. So this uses Fuggle hops, which is a very distinct British hop. It's very foresty, very different from American hops and even like European hops. And it gives its very distinct, like it's not even that strong. I definitely get it in there. And I think during the craft beer IPA, American IPA revolution, people really stopped liking this because it's not piney, it's not citrusy really. Maybe a hint of like a marmalade type thing. But it's like wicker chairs, straw, almost like a hint of tobacco. Stops short of cherry, fruit cake a bit, like maybe dried darker fruits, but it's not a like super malty sweet beer. It's a little bit, but they call it a bitter because it's balanced. But this is only 30 IBUs. They list that as lower than their hazy IPA IBUs. Yeah, toasty, not quite molasses, but that's what a British bitter is really supposed to smell like. Similar flavor. This one's really mild on the bitterness and hops. I mean, actually, there's something in there, and it's quite complex actually in its maltiness, but not super sweet. And what I like is that it's got a hint of like a toffee thing, but it's not exactly sweet caramel. And there's a little bit of drying bitterness in there that's like kind of this woody thing. It's woody, foresty, herbal. It definitely dries out the tongue. A little bit of this like, wicker chair straw thing. That description just has always made sense for me. And I don't know if they use a British yeast strain that kind of helps carry all these flavors too. But it's definitely a lot of flavor for 3.8, good amount of body. Yeah, for being lower ABV than most American light beers, it's got a lot more stuff going on. And that's sort of the idea. But it's not so strong and so strongly flavored that you only want to have one. It's the idea, the whole session beer idea is a British thing where you have these beers that are lower ABV, and usually you get them on casks so that they're less carbonated. This one is regular carb. And if you have less carb, then you can drink more without getting full. And this one's, yeah, got some carb, so I'm going to burp. Excuse me. Is it the best bitter I've ever had? Probably not. I mean, I've been to cask bitter, just the way to do it. At the World Beer Cup, I don't know where it was, but I assume it's worldwide, and maybe there's weren't a lot of submissions for this. I haven't looked in to see if you can figure out how many submissions this beat out. But all the flavors and balance and the hoppiness, it all works. And it's like, at first I was like, the hoppiness is subtle, but as you drink it, you get more and more. And that's kind of the idea with this beer. Hopefully the style comes back in. Yeah, and it just stops short of toffee, caramel, red fruit. If you get like an ESB, a stronger one, then you're going to get that. I'm not a huge fan of those. And honestly, I like some of the bitters that are a little more hop aromatic forward and a little paler. But this one's like super traditional. Seems like that's why it probably won the World Beer Cup. And I definitely hope that, like, once they open their place, they serve this on cask, maybe nitro. Nitro was kind of created by Guinness to sort of recreate an old-fashioned cask method of creating a big creamy head and have like a softer carb. But yeah, this has this drying out of the tongue that reminds me a bit of like having fresh cask beer. Like there's a little bit of a slow building resinous hop drying quality on your tongue. Yeah, it's like a little, I don't want to call it metallic, but just the Fuggle hops are so unique. And it's hard to think that this is the ancestor, basically, of hazy IPA. So sort of more hop-forward pale ale. And then went to America, and American hops totally kind of changed the profile, and brewers started making them paler and paler. Excuse me. But then, ironically, it was the return to using English yeast that kind of brought brewers to get more of those yeast esters. So British yeast has a little bit more of a fruity thing, but if you use British malt and British hops, it really pushes it in a different fruity direction rather than with American hops where it's all citrusy, tropical, and then it's also Southern Hemisphere hops. But this review's gone along a little too long, but having this fresh is really great. Yeah, the nose has like, is maltier than the taste. It's like the nose has the toffee. But then as you drink it, you get more and more of the herbal hop stuff. And I kind of like it now that's getting a little bit warmer and flatter, a little bit more like cask beer. Not the cask beer should be warm and flat. If you go to a good place, or if you go to the Nirax Festival, that's where you can have some of the best cask beer. But for rating, it's perfectly good. I feel like the carb could be a bit softer. That's the thing. The only thing, the carb and like that head doesn't really stick around too well. If they fix that, it would be a 4.5, but the flavors are really great. Bye.